You'll never be as successful as me. Lisa said it like she was stating the weather, flat, casual, an accusation wrapped in a smile. She leaned on the breakfast bar, coffee steam circling her fingers, eyes bright with the kind of certainty that always let her steer the room. I stood in the doorway holding an envelope from my shift, today's paycheck, and watched the light cut across her cheekbones. Do you always have to be like this? I asked, folding the paper between my palms so it didn't crumple. She shrugged. I'm just realistic. You like your routines. I like promotions. She tapped her phone. It's not personal. It's fact. Dad's voice came from the living room, muffled, asking if we'd planned dinner. Mom hummed in the kitchen, distracted. The house smelled of toast and the faint lemon of Mom's cleaner. Familiarity wrapped around everything, making the barbs feel louder. You mean the fact that you had the college fund? I said. The fact that people always tell you you're brilliant first? Lisa's smile thinned. You sound resentful. I sound like someone who paid her own tuition. She laughed. You did what you had to. Not everyone has the stomach to risk everything. You had a credit card in your name at 18, I said. I had 3 part-time jobs. You were praised. I was advised. She rolled her eyes. This is getting tragic. Her dismissal was a bright, small thing that burned. She walked to the door, put on sunglasses as if she were stepping into a commercial. Don't make me feel bad for breathing, she said, and then she was gone. Click of the lock, the soft putter of her car leaving the driveway. At 11, I watched Lisa cut cake while Mom told guests she'd always had potential. At 16, she walked off with the prize I built. At 18, the college fund was reallocated. Those moments are short scenes in my head, the way her laugh filled rooms, how Dad's face softened when she spoke. They're not melodrama, they're evidence. Later that month, at the firm, I closed a client file and sent an email that would change the next year of my life, a request to audit an account in my name. I'd found a rental application online, my name listed as emergency contact for an apartment I'd never visited. Lisa's handwriting appeared in the margin of a scanned lease application. The signature matched mine except for a subtle curl she tended to add when she wanted emphasis. It was small, but precision is what I do. You think she forged it? Mina asked over the office partition, eyes narrowed as she scanned the PDF. I know she did, I said, and then walked out to buy coffee because I needed air that didn't hum with fluorescent lights. I called a private investigator, Nathan Cole, put the documents on his desk, and watched him flip through pages with the bored attention of someone who had seen greed do 1,000 contortions. 3 accounts, he said. 2 leases, 1 small line of credit. Payments stopped when her cash flow hiccuped. She used your details as a buffer. She panicked and pushed your name forward. How do you prove panic? I asked. You show where the fingerprints are, where the paper meets the truth, he said. And you make sure the banks see the fingerprints. The turning point was not dramatic. It was a Tuesday when I went to the post box and found a letter with the bank logo. The bank had placed a temporary hold on the account after my dispute. The word hold fell into my hands like a lever. Step 1. Documentation. I collected signed statements from landlords, receipts, emails where Lisa confirmed addresses. Nathan recorded a call where Lisa, nervous, confirmed a cosigner and mentioned my name. I saved screenshots, sent certified letters, and scheduled a meeting with Marcus Hale, a lawyer recommended by a colleague. Marcus sat across from me with a paper cup of coffee and no illusions. We can go civil restitution, damages, or criminal identity theft charges. Civil is fast, criminal is thorough. Which do you prefer? You do both, I said. I want the ledger to tell the story. He nodded and started drafting. You sure you want to pull the thread? It'll pull the whole blanket. I know, I said. I'm ready. We filed disputes. Marcus hand-delivered formal letters. The bank froze accounts associated with the false identities. Notices arrived at addresses Lisa had used. Landlords sent notices of termination. Collections called. Small items, utility bills with unpaid balances, a repossession notice for a car in her name, folded into a pattern. Lisa reacted with the only strategy she knew: performance. At first, she called Mom, voice high and loud, claiming a misunderstanding and painting me as unstable. "You're being cruel," she sobbed into the phone one evening, while Mom's voice wavered on the other end. "She's doing this to ruin me." Clara filed a report, Mom answered, voice small. "The bank said they had to freeze things while they investigate." "Tell her to stop," Lisa begged. "Tell her to stop ruining our family." "She used your credit," Dad said later, standing in the doorway while Lisa paced the living room in slippers. "She said she had to protect herself." "You're siding with her?" Lisa spat. Her usual composure cracked, a quick fissure. "I'm siding with the facts," Dad said. "That cut worse than any insult. Facts are quiet. They don't apologize." The legal pressure compounded into social pressure. Notes amassed on counters, eviction warnings left by hand, final notice stamped in red. Friends stopped returning calls. When she went to the boutique where she'd work occasionally, the manager closed the backroom door and refused her shift. One night she came to my apartment at 11, mascara streaked, voice thin. "Please, Clara. I can't sleep at Mom's. They're ashamed." "I'll sign the papers, I'll do counseling." "Don't do this." I set the tea down in front of her without sitting. "You forged my name. You lied to landlords. You treated other people's credit like a game." "It was temporary," she said. "I would have paid it back." "You used my name because you believed the cost of asking for help was too high," I said. "You believed you were entitled to avoid the consequence of risk." She dropped her face into her hands and let the tears come. This was the first time I heard the tremor under her arrogance, real animal fear. Marcus pushed for charges when the bank forwarded evidence to prosecutors. The case moved into criminal court with a clear trail: recorded admissions, forged signatures, multiple defaults. In hearings, Lisa sat small. Her lawyer tried to argue extenuating circumstances, emotional distress, dependence on parental support, but the ledger spoke plainly. "You understand forging another person's signature is a crime?" the prosecutor asked, voice steady. "I didn't mean," she began, then stopped, the syllables thin. The judge's gavel fell like a metronome. Restitution ordered, community service, mandatory financial counseling, and a period of supervised repayment. No dramatic incarceration, but consequences sharp enough to cut habitual entitlement. The final blow came not from the courthouse, but from family. At dinner, Mama's hands wrapped around a mug like she might hide inside it. "Lisa," Mom said quietly, "tell us what happened." Lisa's voice faltered. She looked at me as if measuring a distance she couldn't cross. I thought I could manage it. I thought I could fix it." "You broke things," I said. "You broke people's records, their trust." She looked down, small and raw. "I'm sorry." "Sorry as words," I said. "This is accounting." I slid a list of restitution numbers across the table. "Sign it. Show up for counseling. Make calls to apologize to the landlords you lied to. Make sure anyone you put at risk knows you won't do it again." She swallowed. Her hands shook so hard the pen trembled above the paper. The first time she tried to write her name it was a smear. On the second attempt she pressed hard enough to leave an impression. When the final notices stopped, when the phone calls dwindled, when the social media posts about family betrayal faded into a few sympathetic comments and then silence, she came once more to my door. The lights in her car were off. She stood on the stoop like someone used to being let in reluctantly. "Please," she whispered. Her voice had none of the old certainty. "I don't know how to start." "You start by being small," I said. "You start by doing the work." I unlocked the door and stepped aside. Her knees buckled, and for a second I thought she might fall. She didn't. She clung to the frame, chin wet. "I never thought I'd be the one on the floor," she said, voice cracking. "I thought I would always be above." "You were above because you were allowed to be," I said. "You're under because you made a nest on other people's backs." She looked at me, really looked, then rushed forward, grabbing my hands. "Please, Clara. Please don't hand me over to the judge to be crushed. I'll do anything. I'll work twice as hard. I'll repay everyone. Don't let them ruin me entirely." Her words shook, not performative, not polished. Fear turned raw and pleading. I felt something like pity and something like steel. I let her hands go. Do the work, I said. No more shortcuts. No more using other people's names as safety nets. Learn to be accountable without borrowing someone else's life. She nodded, lips quivering. The tremor in her body became the hum of the room. When she left, the front door thudded softly, final, domestic. I closed it and sat at the kitchen table, the payoff not a trumpet but a ledger balanced in neat columns. The satisfaction was antiseptic and precise. She begged. She trembled. She learned slowly, in counseling rooms and on payment plans and in phone calls to landlords whose numbers she had used without consent. In the weeks after, when Dad tried to reconcile gestures with words, when Mom dropped a note that said, "I am sorry," I kept my replies short. I wanted repair, not a show. On the day her first restitution check cleared, Lisa called and left a message. "I'm working nights. I'm meeting with my counselor. Thank you." I listened to the message once, then pressed delete. I didn't need public absolution. The record was clean, and the rules were in place. Justice, in this case, looked like paperwork and consequence.